What's going on, YouTube? So you want to shoot your base coat like this. Well, I got good news for you. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And it all starts with your prep. So first thing we got to do is clean our panels. We got our prep sole here. I soak my whole panel down. I wipe it down with one side, and then I flip it to a dry side and dry it off immediately. You want to make sure none of this stuff gets left behind. Now, after our prep sole, I use our water cleaner. This essentially kills all the static that's coming off of the panel to make sure your job comes out nice and clean. So the way I use this, I soak my entire panel down with it. Wipe it until it's dry, and then I use a second rag that is completely dry and dry that off right away. Again, just like your prep sole, if you leave any of this stuff behind, your sealer or your base coat is not going to be happy. By the way, you guys like the shirt? All the shirts went out. Our winners were announced. Congrats to both you guys. Our second place winner took the cash. Our first place winner got that PRD 815. Now, I'm going to say this now. If you get any value out of this video, if you learn anything, or if you're entertained, if you could drop a like, I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys want me to do another giveaway for the PRD 815 with the 1.2 cap, let me know in the comments below. Now, let's go mix our sealer. Now, you guys are going to want to make sure you don't skip anything in this video, because if you do, you're probably going to miss out on something that's going to prevent you from shooting your base and mixing your base like a pro. Now, I've gotten a lot of comments on some of my videos, the majority of them coming from the same one person, who constantly insists that you don't need sealer, it's useless. If you just prep your primer right, you're just wasting money. You're just wasting money. All you have to do is prep your primer right. Well, the benefits of using sealer are so vast that it needs its own video. But for the sake of this video, what I will tell you is you can't spray your base coat the way I do unless you're using sealer. It doesn't matter how perfect your prep work is. Sealer is specifically designed by the same people who make the paint to accept the paint however it gets thrown at it. Meaning, if I put it on light, it's gonna take it. If I put it on sopping wet, it's gonna take it, because it's designed to take it. The primer you're putting on a panel after doing body work is not designed for every single base coat in the world. So chances are, if you put it on that wet, something's gonna go wrong, even if it's prepped absolutely perfectly. Even, for example, if you scuff a panel and try to put your base coat on how I put my base coat on top of my sealer, it's gonna run, it's gonna react, you're gonna have all sorts of problems. You do have to put a dust coat on first. But what people seem to fail to realize is how important it is that you put your sealer on, because that's what makes laying your base the way I lay it possible. Now, just using sealer isn't the only thing that matters. How you apply it also matters. You want to have your pressure high enough that it breaks the sealer up efficiently so it can lay flat, but not too high so that it's going to dry before it has the opportunity to flow out. Because if you don't have a smooth finish on your sealer, you can't have a smooth finish on your base, and you definitely can't have a smooth finish on your clear without either of those. Now, I can't tell you exactly what pressure that is, because the pressure that works for me might not work for you. And I don't use a regulator, so I don't even know what pressure I just used. But I do know that I got the finish I want. If you want to know how to find that right setup for you, I made a video on that, so you can go check that out. Now that we have our sealer on, the next most important thing, and this is where that old school trick comes in, is when it comes to mixing your paint. You have to properly reduce your paint. Viscosity matters so much more than anybody gives it credit for. So I'm gonna show you how I mix my base and how I ensure it's the correct viscosity and it's gonna come out of my gun exactly how I want and land on that panel exactly how I want. And then once we come back in the booth, I'm gonna show you the difference the correct viscosity makes and the wrong viscosity makes. And then I'm gonna show you how I can have my gun set up two completely different ways on this door and still get a great finish because my paint is the correct viscosity. Now I'm sure I know what some of you guys are thinking right now. What do you mean that our base has the correct viscosity and how much to reduce it? Our paint manufacturer tells us in our TVS exactly how much to reduce it. It even tells us at what temperature. And you're right, it does. But those are just guidelines because your paint manufacturer knows they don't know the current ambient room temperature where your paint is stored. Now you can see for me, you see that green check mark? That's at 20%. I believe EnviroBase calls for a 20% reduction at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's automatically defaulted to 20 because that's the check mark tells us we're on 20 right now. You can see here, I went ahead and added 10% and I added 15%. Now, the reason I did that is not only because the temperature where my paint's stored affects the viscosity of the paint, but also because different tints have different viscosities themselves. So we're spraying Diamond Black, which is PXJ by Chrysler. I know through experience that black tints are much, much, much thinner than any other tint. The black tints are always the thinnest tints. So by default, if it were 72 degrees right now, I wouldn't reduce that 20%. I would reduce that by 15%. But being that it's 90 degrees outside and 90 degrees in the booth right now, I'm gonna reduce my black 10%. That's gonna ensure it's not over reduced. It's gonna eliminate a bunch of problems that I can run into, and it's also going to ensure that I get phenomenal coverage. So I'm gonna mix this up now. In the big cup, I'm gonna reduce it by 10%, and then I'm also going to reduce it by 20% in the little cup. And we're gonna go to those spray out cards. I'm gonna shoot one with the 20% reduction, and I'm gonna shoot the other one with the 10% reduction. And we're gonna see as it flashes off, and even as I lay it, the difference it makes. And just so you guys can see here, Diamond Black, PXJ. Now, if we look, our first two tints are our black tints. And look at how much, 556 grams of one black, and then 135 grams of another black. So it's about 95, 96, 97% black tints, which means we can't reduce this as much as we would reduce a color that was 95% white tints because white is much thicker than black. All right, I just finished mixing my base, reduced it by 10%. Now, I'm gonna show you guys that old school trick to ensure you have the correct viscosity. And it's so simple and so effective. All right, so once you have your base mixed and it's stirred nice, what you wanna do is take a paint stick, doesn't matter if it's plastic or wood, stir it around a little bit, lift it out a couple times. Then what you wanna do is we're gonna pull this out the same way you would use a viscometer or a viscometer, whatever it's called. You're gonna pull it out, it's gonna be running, right? As soon as it starts dripping in single drips, we're gonna start counting. The number we want, and this is the magic number, is 13. That base coat is gonna lay beautifully. So let's check out what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, we might get a 14. 14. I mean, I'll be honest with you. 12, 14, you're gonna get the same results as you would with 13. All right, so in our little cup, we have our 20% reduced black, which is what the manufacturer would tell us to do. And then in here, we have what we reduced by 10% and gave us our 13 drips that we look for to ensure our base coat is the perfect viscosity. So on the right one, I'm gonna shoot our 20% reduction, and I'm gonna do my best to keep my passes and coverage the same. Okay, now I'm gonna switch cups and then we're gonna shoot that one. All right, so our properly reduced black. All right, we're gonna give these a little time to flash off and then we're going to inspect. I mean, right off the bat, you can tell by looking around the card how much better our coverage is. Here, it's brown. Here, it's black, all around the card. We'll inspect that further as it dries. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna shoot this door how I have my gun set up right now, which is how I would prefer to have my gun set up. Then we're gonna shoot that door. We're gonna go from this door to that door, uncut. I'm going to completely change the settings on my gun. I'm gonna change the pressure, change the fluid, and change the fan. And I guarantee I'm still gonna get an awesome finish because the viscosity of your paint matters more than your gun setup. I'm like trying to hold the hose with my leg while I do this. Nice even overlap. We're moving nice and slow. All right, now I'm gonna try to do this uncut. I don't even know if this is gonna lower my fluid, my air, or raise it, but I'm just gonna twist this knob. So you guys can see me turning that thing. All right, that lowered it. Let's turn our fluid in. I don't know, about a full turn. And let's turn our fan in. I don't know, about a half a turn. There you go. All right, so our gun is set up completely differently now. Let's see if we can still get an awesome finish. I think we will. I know we will. Because having the correct paint viscosity matters way more than how your gun is set up. And it's a shame. People put so much emphasis on, oh, how is your gun set up? What's the settings on your gun? Failing to realize that almost doesn't matter. What matters is your material is the viscosity it should be. Now look at that finish, right? And look at that finish. I don't see any difference. And I know if I don't see a difference, you guys don't see a difference. So hopefully this little experiment here proved my point. Now, let's look at our spray out cards. Do you guys see any difference here? Because I sure do. We can clearly see what we reduced by 20% is just running right off the spray out card, running right off the paper, almost onto the wall. What we reduced by 10% is laying beautifully. So you see, this is why you can't just go blindly by the manufacturer's suggestions. They are only suggestions for a reason. You have to take into consideration the viscosity of your tints while they're stored based on the temperature and the given tint, and then determine how much you want to reduce it. Clearly, 10% was the correct reduction here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and base the rest of this crap out. Then I'll pick you guys up for the first coat of clear and show you guys the finish. All right, so I got everything ready for clear. But before we lay the clear on our doors and see how this job comes out, let's take a second to appreciate the difference in having the right viscosity and the wrong viscosity. That's the difference it makes right there. Now let's lay some clear.
All right, first coat going down with our Omni MC161, 23 PSI. Thing's looking real good. Looking good.
All right, so here's our finished product. Everything came out exceptional, as you can see. Hopefully you guys got some value out of this video and understand how important it is to check the viscosity, and hopefully now that you have that really simple old school trick, hopefully you will check your viscosity so you can get your paint job to come out just like this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you got any value out of the video, if you enjoyed it, if you were entertained at all, if you could drop a like, comment, and maybe even subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It means a lot to me and it helps out the channel a bunch. Anyway, until the next time, guys, peace.